This is a Grand Theft Auto suspect, but here is what's really complicating and making this pursuit extra nerve-wracking is the victim called LAPD and said that their young child was in the vehicle at the time of the Grand Theft Auto. Now, it's not clear if that child is still in the back seat. There was about 10 minutes between when the car was carjacked and when LAPD was able to get eyes on the vehicle. So it's not clear if that child was dropped off by the suspect or got out of the car, or if the child is still in the back of the vehicle. But that's why LAPD is taking this one very gingerly, thinking that there is a possibility of a young child in the back seat. Unclear if there's anyone else inside. Pit maneuvers definitely out of the question. Possibly some spike strips. We've been primarily in South LA, but we're now westbound on Vernon Avenue, now crossing Van Ness. Jeff and Susie.
Well, that's pretty scary stuff when you think about a child being inside of a car and you see it going this fast. You see the police helicopter overhead as well. But Susie, we do have what's known to be a driver wanted for Grand Theft Auto, a young child in the car at the time of the theft. But they're talking about a lapse of time where maybe that child might have got out.
Yeah, we're hoping that child somehow got out of the car, whether the person actually let that child out or somehow that child got out. We don't know how old that child is, but we do know that there is a possibility that they might still be inside this car right now. So the LAPD, if that is the case, of course, taking all precautions, as Desmond was talking about, the pursuit protocols definitely are going to be different in this case because of the heightened danger with someone else inside this car. It looks like they are coming towards Sky 9 now as they make that right turn right there. Desmond, are we in a neighborhood, in a residential neighborhood now?
Yeah, just turned away here from Vernon and north on 8th Avenue. So we're in the Leimert Park area, residential streets. This was LAPD's Central Division that was that has been in pursuit of this. So that's, kind of around the downtown LA area. So not clear where exactly this started, but we're kind of looping around South LA for a little bit and now headed back on 42nd Street. So kind of hanging around the same area here, haven't traversed too much area, but still kind of in that difficult airspace for us. You can see LAPD's spotlight overhead, but they are definitely going to keep with this one regardless of what happens. They definitely want to use some spike strips. They actually were set up very well for it right there where we were approaching, and then the suspect turned away and was able to evade that intersection, and now they're headed back towards the east on this one. And so we're 42nd Street coming up on Arlington. Okay,
well, we're going to let Des take a quick break here while we continue to look at these live pictures. LAPD in pursuit of a driver wanted for Grand Theft Auto. We understand the vehicle was taken, and the victim of that vehicle, the person that had the car stolen from them, reported their young son in the back seat of that car. So we don't know the exact age, but when you hear young son, Susie, you know that obviously is a very young age. It is, however, unclear if the child is still in that vehicle.
And we don't know the circumstances of how this car was taken. We're not calling this a carjacking as far as we know. So maybe it wasn't by force. Maybe the child was inside that car while the person was, maybe away from the car for just a minute to get something or to grab something. And then they come back and see that the car is gone, and that's perhaps when they called police. But again, this is a very dangerous situation for the LAPD tonight, as there is possibly a child inside this car that they are pursuing for Grand Theft Auto. We're going to join KCAL 9 News' Pat Harvey and Juan Fernandez on the other side on KCAL 9 News at 9. But as we show you these pictures live from Sky 9 right now, it looks like the suspect could be giving up or just pulling over for just a second, Jeff, and then they continue again.
Yeah, the driver without headlights on. This is a 2013 Dodge Dart that we understand is the description. A number of police vehicles behind this suspect vehicle. As Des mentioned, they are going to want to put spike strips in front of this vehicle to slow it down. This pit maneuver is not going to be something they want to do with a young child possibly involved. Pat Harvey, Juan Fernandez are standing by for KCAL 9 News at 9 with more on this.
All right, Jeff and Susie, thank you very much. Breaking news coverage continuing here. A pursuit of a carjacking suspect with that possibility that there may be a young child in the backseat of that car.
Yeah, we're talking about Grand Theft Auto here of a white Dodge Dart, year 2013. Right now they're in the Leimert Park area, and Desmond Shaw has been following this. He's live overhead. Hi, Des. Fill us in.
Yeah, Pat and Juan, it's just a really stressful one thinking about the possibility that there could be, an innocent young child in the back seat. That is, we're not sure if that's the case, but the reason why we say that is because the victim of this grand theft auto, that is why this pursuit is happening right now, called and said that their young child was in the back seat at the time of that incident. And now there was some time between when that happened and when LAPD responded, about 10 minutes. So it's possible that the child was dropped off or was able to get out of the vehicle, but that's not a great situation either, because you might have a young child somewhere on the streets of LA. So it's really not clear. Either way, it is not a great. All of a sudden, speeds picking up. Speeds were not very high when we were first on this one, but now really starting to speed up here on 6th Avenue as we come around. And again, we have to give you this wider shot here because it is in LAX's airspace. Obviously, LAPD, they have the priority, so we're following their spotlight. This white Dodge Dart westbound on 8th Avenue coming back into Leimert Park.
Desmond, as the driver of this car basically stayed in this same area, you mentioned you're in that flight restricted area. Is that the case right now?
Yeah, I think this pursuit has been in the LAX airspace pretty much the whole time that we've heard about it here. And just as they kind of start to get away from that airspace, they've been kind of circling back into it. And now they're making a left, which is going to be even worse for us as far as providing a good picture. Southbound here, you see Leimert and 46 going into Hyde Park. So headed farther down into South LA. And wrong side of the street here. Actually, I didn't even realize because we were looking from a distance. But so you're on Crenshaw Boulevard. That's the brand new Crenshaw line in the middle. And this suspect on the wrong side of the street. And that's why you see LAPD now backing off. They're going to parallel on the right side of the street. They will not follow in wrong way traffic, even if the suspect does this.
Wow, look at
very
this.
desperate maneuver, maybe even knowing that LAPD is going to have to back off a little bit. So.
This is
just horrible to watch this,
well,
especially
this is,
if there's a child in the car.
Yeah, I was going to say, Desmond, certainly in this circumstance, we really hope that there is not a child in that car. I was wondering when we first went on the air with this, because haven't heard the circumstances around why this car was taken. If the driver, wow, that's a close call. Now, Desmond, this is getting even more,
wow.
a more dangerous
traffic.
situation here. And he continues to drive.
Oh, yeah.
And those other cars, to their credit, are actually dodging this car and this driver. I was wondering if possibly this driver of this vehicle knows the victim and the child, but that's just a possibility. We hear of these situations where you can have a domestic situation, and the father of the child will kidnap the child, basically, but we don't know if that's the case here.
That's correct. We have certainly covered situations like that in the past, and you always have to wonder if that is what's happening here. But unconfirmed if this was just a completely random act, or if there is any kind of connection between the suspect and the victim. We just really wonder if that child is in the back seat, and LAPD's been desperately trying to figure that out. The helicopter overhead was actually talking to the ground units. Try to find out if you can see if there's anyone else in that vehicle. They really need to learn that. But now we're headed back eastbound. So 54th Street, really hanging around the same kind of area. Saw that crazy maneuver there on Crenshaw. Incredibly difficult situation for LAPD with this one. The pit maneuver, one of their best techniques, out of the question at this point. They're going to want to use spike strips at some point, but it's really difficult when the suspect keeps turning onto different streets. The best they can do is have some spikes set up at some major intersections, maybe get those cleared of any civilians, and try to deploy that. But very difficult nonetheless.
I was going to ask, do we know if any maneuvers have been made up until this point? Have we seen a spike strip? Do we know if this car could possibly have damage or to one of the tires on the car?
I don't believe there have been any successful spike attempts. I haven't heard that. I've just heard the chatter about them trying to set it up. They were ready and were nearly able to do it just before we came to the 9 o'clock KCAL. The suspect was driving. Oh, you know what? He must have. Did you see that tire?
Yes, it looked like something flew off
into the intersection.
Yes.
So, yeah. So you know what? And look, there goes some more. So I think this vehicle has been hit by at least
even
one
more
spike strip. So we can tell. Yeah, I think definitely down one tire. at this point. So at some point there was, it looks like, a successful spike strip, and there was going to be another one, but the suspect turned away from it about one block too soon. There was another one right there. They tried to throw out a spike strip. I'm not sure if that one was successful, but we've seen some rubber fly off of one of those wheels. Definitely down at least one wheel here, and we'll see how the driver and this vehicle respond.
Yeah, what's real interesting, if we didn't see it, right, happening from your shot there, Desmond, the driver most likely didn't see it either, and he ran over those spike strips, and those tires are slowly starting to deflate. Hopefully he got more than one, because that would definitely help bring this to an end. But I'm sure by this point, Pat, he must know that he's in trouble. The car is going to start having problems.
car is damaged, because it looked like it was not level when Desmond took that close-up shot. And this is probably, well, the closest that we've seen it since we've been on the air. Still can't tell if there is anyone in the back seat or not. But this driver is certainly still driving at picking up speeds. You know, there was a moment, Desmond, I believe, before Juan and I were on the air with you, that we thought this driver was possibly trying to stop. Maybe they were possibly trying to avoid a spike strip, but we certainly don't see this driver stopping right now.
No, and we just heard here from the airship overhead. They're saying that all 4 tires have been affected by the spike strip. So we saw, it looked like the rubber separated from one of the wheels, and the other 3 tires are deflated at this point. So it's definitely going to make it difficult for this driver. And we really don't want to see them speeding up and trying to make any, sudden turns or anything like that, because they could lose control of this vehicle. So we're coming out of the LAX airspace here, and we'll hopefully be able to bring you a better shot. We're now headed towards the 10 freeway northbound on Western. And again, spike strips have been successful. It takes some time for all of the tires to deflate, but already down 1 tire, and we'll see how long the other ones last, and if this is going to hopefully inspire the suspect to realize the jig is up and it's time to give this up.
We wanted to show our viewers a replay, if we will, on the left side of your screen. This is when those tires just start to fly. Well, the right side. They just start to fly off that vehicle.
Right there.
Yeah, you can see the rubber just really separating.
Quite a bit too, huh?
And according to LAPD, all 4 tires were struck and are deflated. And now we see that this driver is on a narrow street, Juan, 39th Street and Gramercy Place in South Los Angeles. Desmond, does this look familiar to you since you've been following this, or is this a new street possibly, new route?
Well, it's a new street, but the driver's kind of been in the same quadrant since we picked it up. They were briefly east of the 110, but then came west, kind of hanging around the Leimert Park area, West Adams area. We saw him go about as far west, I think, as Crenshaw, going kind of between Crenshaw and Vermont, and then he was on 54th, now on 39th. So same kind of general area. I don't think they've been specifically on this one street, and it is a narrow residential street, but primarily residential street since we picked this one up. And hopefully the vehicle is not going to be capable of high speeds at this point. And then, even when this vehicle does inevitably come to a stop, then it's going to be, what do they do next? Are they going to try to rush up and overwhelm the suspect and try to, if there is still a child in the back, to try to immediately rescue them, or does it turn into a standoff situation, or what? It's just a very difficult situation all the way around for LAPD, and they've got to be thinking about, what is the tactic when this does stop.
Well, we're hoping here that the LAPD already knows that maybe that child was dropped off, or maybe is not in the car at this time, because as we've been mentioning here, with 4 blown out tires, it shouldn't take long for this pursuit to come to an end. But then, as you mentioned, Desmond, will it become a standoff? Will this driver, just take off running, or just keep police at bay? They're sitting in the car. So still just a lot to wonder. And also, we haven't mentioned whether or not this person might be armed or not, or what were the circumstances with that car being stolen in the first place.
I'm assuming, though, they ran the plates. That's probably why they know that it, well, the victim reported it, right? That this was her car. That it was a female victim, and this car was stolen from her. Don't know any other circumstances surrounding this was a random theft, or again, if they possibly knew each other, especially with a child involved. You hate to think, guys, that this person would just steal a car knowing a child was inside and just keep going. But we don't know. Obviously, you can't get in the mind of this driver right now, but hopefully we have seen where maybe there are friends or people that know this driver that are on the
Right.
phone, say, hey, man, stop,
Yeah.
pull over.
And we've seen this
Give
time and time
yourself up.
again, Pat, where somebody pulls over at a 7-Eleven or at a convenience store for a second. They think they can just run in, grab something, and come back out. And I don't know if you could tell, but it looks like the windows on the rear side of the car are tinted. So perhaps somebody saw an opportunity to jump in a car that was running, didn't know there was a child inside, and took off with the car, just hoping to steal one. But again, those are many different scenarios that we're looking at tonight of what could have possibly happened here. And you can see there, it looks like he just rolled through a red light right there.
Yeah, Desmond, apparently not following the traffic rules
Right.
because you showed us earlier where this driver was on the wrong side of the street on Crenshaw Boulevard, which he just turned from. Now he's on Marlton Avenue.
Yep, just 1 block west of Crenshaw, just suddenly made that southbound turn on this one. So really being as difficult as the suspect possibly could be for us to be able to bring you a good shot on this one, and making a right turn here around some buildings. The vehicle does appear to be slowing down. Look how many units are in pursuit right here. I think that's telling me that, you know, when this does come to an end, they might just come and run up to the vehicle and try to end the situation. The one thing they really don't want to see is some kind of standoff situation. I mean, they would even probably prefer for the suspect to get out and run, because at least then they could go and check the back seat and know for sure where that child is, if they are in the vehicle or not, and then, you know, if need be, they could chase down the suspect later. That's what they're thinking of more than anything, is the potential for an innocent child to be in the back. And we're not sure how old that child is. We just heard it's a young child. We don't know if you know, they're a toddler, if they're 5, 6 years old, if they're, I'm just thinking, if they were dropped off and they're a toddler, it's going to be very difficult to reunite that child with the mother. I suppose, you know, LAPD would know who the victim was, but still all kind of conjecture at this point as we turn onto Palmwood Drive, trying to bring
And
this picture to
Buckingham.
you here on the edge of the LAX airspace.
Yeah, and you know what? That's near Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall. They just passed
far
Baldwin
from
Hills
it.
Crenshaw Mall when we said Marlton and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. And now he's on off of Santa Rosalia Drive. Heavy residential area. A lot of apartment buildings over there, as you can see. Some office units, condos, homes, especially people off of Buckingham Drive that live in the Baldwin Hills area. That's an older, established community, and some people have lived in that area for years. So this is quite. When you hear about incidents happening, it's still a very highly populated area where, you know, people are just trying to live their lives. So I can imagine this is a bit disconcerting. That's a shot of the mall again, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Santa Rosalia Drive, that are hearing the sirens and possibly just watching
He's slowing
from their
down there, Pat.
homes. Yeah, hopefully maybe he's stopping. All right, Desmond, can you pick up the action for us? He stopped behind this tree.
Yeah,
When you
we're
know
trying
it.
to get behind this this tree.
And the
Yeah,
police stopped, so that's a good
as
sign.
we come around, it look. Yeah, so at a stop in front of looks like either a hotel or an
It's
apartment
condos.
complex here on
Those
Santa
are-
Rosalia.
Yeah, those are condos.
Okay, got it. We'll see if this is the end of this or not.
So.
And you know, all the tires are pretty much flat. We'll zoom in here. We're really peer into this vehicle here. We're looking from quite a distance here on Santa Rosalia Drive. Just drop the speedometer there, and let's hope that this is it. And I'm just hearing LAPD talk about getting all of the officers in position. They're going to want to get in front, maybe even set up some more spike strips, you know, not too far in front of them, just to they really want to box this suspect in. They're going to want to come in and lock down this parking lot as well. So it's going to take a lot of officers to get into place. And okay, the door is open.
Oh, wow.
Hands are up.
And we've got hands up, so a very, very good sign. And as long as they don't pull a fast one here, you know, this means that there will not be a standoff situation. And now the question is really going to be, is there anyone in the back seat?
Yes. And at this point, walking, not actually toward, or is he now walking toward the officers? I couldn't tell at first, Desmond.
Well,
Looks like he's turning around.
Yeah, okay,
Going
now,
around
if he's
in
going to try
circles.
to, you don't
No,
want
he's
to
going
second
down.
guess, but
Yeah.
now he's getting down.
Yeah, okay.
But
Down
he's
on the
not
ground,
staying down.
yeah, good signals here, though. You know, a lot of times, I mean, you know, LAPD's yelling this at them. I'm sure nerves are very high, and who knows what's going on with this suspect in their head right now, even though they're kind of fidgeting around all over the place and now behind this sign. Yeah,
Kind of
not down on their
crawling on
stomach,
his
are they? Kind of up on
belly.
on their kind of crawling around here, but
His legs are crossed. it
LAPD
looks like.
should be
Well,
moving in here shortly.
Yeah, you know, the hesitation, Des, of course, is maybe trying to discern whether or not this person is
Right.
armed. That's where they're not rushing him.
Or a kid in
right
the
now,
back seat,
even though
right?
he's on the ground.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is probably part of it. That they may want to come up with a shield. They want to make sure that one of the leading officers will have a shield in front, just in case. Of course, you know, they prepare for every situation. So that's most likely what they're saying. Probably wanted the suspect to, you know, lift up their shirt so they could see inside the waistband to see if there was anything. And again, as you said, Pat, we
Wow,
didn't hear
this is so
exactly how
weird.
this Grand Theft Auto happened. If it happened with a weapon, if it at gunpoint, if it was forceful, or what all happened with that. But now kind of creeping back behind this bush, we just have not been able to get a good shot on this suspect just because of the nature of how this is all unfolding right now. But you see the spotlight on him,
Yeah.
and there's a light from another LAPD vehicle. So they should be hopefully just moving in and then taking a look in that back seat.
Yeah, it's just so weird. Is he under the influence? What are officers telling him? We've never really seen somebody kind of spin around, hit the ground, and then kind of crawl over to the sidewalk here in real, you know, just in a you know, just all over the place, Des.
And that, but
Yep.
still hasn't moved from that
Hasn't
spot,
moved.
Desmond.
Yeah.
You could tell. I mean, we haven't seen him emerge from behind that bush and in front of that Staples sign there. But again, you know, noticeable that officers have not rushed to take this person into custody. Obviously, being very, very careful. And I don't see any officers in front. Do you, Desmond? I mean, I see them all behind.
Yeah, I don't see any. There may be some way to the left there, farther to the east. But you saw all the units here to the right, over towards the west of the end, and then there is a unit right here that's providing this light, and they're just trying to get these innocent people out of the way. I think before they want to move in, but they are taking an unusually long amount of time to move in on a suspect that is on the ground. You still see the spotlight overhead from their helicopter that is still talking to the officers as well. They may want to come and move over towards the car first before they even come to the suspect, just listening to what they're saying.
Yeah, there's somebody there in the parking lot, some more cars.
Well, there are businesses. There's some restaurants that are still open.
Okay. Is that connected to the mall, Pat, or is
Yeah.
that is? Okay. Well, it looks like we
I
made
say that looks like a security guard. Or no, that's someone taking pictures. That's someone with a cell phone. Could be a, you know, resident.
videographer or a resident or somebody there.
Yeah, just, you know, it's been going on for a while, and anytime things go on for a while, it tends to attract a crowd. And so actually now we're seeing, you know, quite a few. And you have a low-level helicopter as well. Anytime you have one of those, you know, in your neighborhood, it generates a lot of buzz. And so people want to come out and see what all is going on. And then you have all of these flashing lights from the police as well. They were talking about something being on the passenger seat, but that they don't know what it is. And we can't quite tell what it is either. I see something green
Yeah.
right there for a second while they had the light illuminating the inside. So they're talking about that. But it is still very unusual that they have not moved in at this point to see if there is anyone else in the car, or at the very least just take the suspect and put them in handcuffs.
Well, again, this is a lot of activity.
Yeah.
Wow, look at the police cars there. And again, these structures, these apartment buildings and condominiums, you know, that can be somewhat pricey in this market and in this particular economy. And then you've got a lot of people there. As I mentioned before, this is right near the mall, and some dining
There we go.
establishments are still open. Now we see
There
a
we-
contingent.
They're going to check the
Desmond.
car first, I guess, huh?
Yeah, looks like that's what I was thinking, that they're going to want to go check that car. They don't know if there's any other suspects. They don't know if there's a child. Now they're going to come in and let's see if they pull anyone else out of here.
Looks like they've got their eyes on him there, Desmond. Using the car a little bit as a...
Well, they didn't make them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now they're going to look in the trunk, and that's why you still see officers with guns drawn, because there's a possibility. Wow! Look at this.
Oh, look.
Indeed, there
Oh,
was
wow.
a child
There's a
in the back
baby.
seat,
A
in a
toddler.
very young child, in a toddler in a car
seat.
seat right
Oh,
there.
my
So
goodness.
indeed, there was. Wow!
Whoa.
Very, very disturbing. But at least you could see the child is safe. The mother will be extremely relieved.
Oh, no kidding.
And knowing now, that it was a toddler, just be able to confirm that there was a child in there.
There they
really
go.
crazy stuff.
Yes, an
now
infant.
coming to take the suspect into custody.
And seeing just how that suspect was behaving when they got out of the vehicle there, how frightening is that? I mean, that's just so scary, because we don't know what mental state this person is in, or if they're under the influence or whatever. But it looks like they're taking this person into custody, Desmond.
Yeah, something wasn't right with that guy.
No.
They are.
There
And,
he is.
you know, my hope is that child was young enough that they're not going to remember this as well. It looked like, a very young child. You could just imagine how traumatizing this could be for someone. But it looked to be a very, very young child. Here goes the suspect now back into the back. And so this person is potentially going to be facing even more, almost certainly more serious charges now. In addition to grand theft auto, I'm sure they're going to want to go for kidnapping on this as well. And we have no idea the connection, if any, between this and the victim. Was it random? Was this someone that the victim knows? But what a relief that this did not end. We know how awful these pursuits can end. And this one came to, it was very stressful, but a peaceful resolution, and nobody was injured.
Yeah, good job on part of LAPD. And let's add child endangerment to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Considering just how reckless that person was driving. All right, Des, thanks so much. We're going to wrap this up and move on to other news at this hour. Okay, a deadly crime spree targeting Southland 7-Elevens.
That's right. 6 stores hit, 2 people killed, 3 others injured. This all happened on 7-Eleven today, July 11th. Again, 6 different 7-Eleven stores hit, beginning right around midnight in Ontario, followed by Upland, Riverside, Santa Ana, Brea, and ending around 5 a.m. in La Habra. KCAL 9's Nicole Comstock is live with details of
that child now in the safe hands of an LAPD officer. He doesn't seem scared at all. He's enjoying all the attention, looking at all the blinking lights. Very cool. Yes, Jack. Santa Rosalina and what's the other cross here? Santa Rosalina and Stalker Street. This is the Lemert Park, Crenshaw area, kind of on the border. Not quite Baldwin Hills. No, got it here. Got it here. Got it here. The kid is being held by this officer in the doorway there. Okay. I don't need the plate. We just want to keep eyes on the kid. Are you able to hear Jack, Harry? Okay, copy. 4 on this ship. 4. So Jack, just FYI, we have this cloud deck coming in that may or may not push us away. Okay, copy that. Copy that. Copy that. So we'll see here. We'll see if there's a handoff here. If the child is handed off to this other officer that just pulled up here, it does not appear so. He's probably coming here. There is an ambulance en route here to attend to probably just check the child, make sure the child is okay. We're keeping our eyes trained on the passenger side of this LAPD patrol car, where the child that got the ride along of a lifetime in a pursuit, in the pursuit suspect vehicle, is now being cared for by these LAPD officers. The initial pursuit started when a vehicle was stolen from a family as they were gassing up in the downtown LA area. The family is now en route to this location to be reunited with their child. What's that? Yes, sir, Jack. Still in the passenger seat. Yeah, Jack. They moved him from one car to the car in front. Oh, they're putting the car seat back in the pursuit vehicle. Yeah, yeah, more than likely. I don't think they showed up yet. No, I thought it was. Well, I thought it was the one on the right. Let me see here. I don't think this one's it. I think it's this one. Well, they all got together and they moved the kid when they were all in a group. I think they put him in this car in the front. Let me see what the medics are doing here. I still believe the kid's in this car. Yeah. No, I think they put him in this car in front. I think he's in this one. I don't know. They all moved around. A couple of them are coming back here. This might be the family. Well, maybe they're just coming through. Yeah. If I had to guess, I believe that the kid is still on scene here, and they're going to bring the family here. I don't know why they would separate the kid from the car seat unless they're going to bring them all back here. You still got the scene? Yeah, we're over like the mall. Or not the mall per se, but a little strip mall here. Yeah. I'm not sure. Did they sneak him in there? Yeah, but I saw them have the kid outside of the car. Let's see. Someone else just pulled up here. Here we go. Here we go. Here's a family member running. Okay. 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 And now we have the mother inside the ambulance with the child. Oh, sorry, Jack, had a cloud come through the shot. So as we drift to the left, we're getting a little bit of a palm tree in the shot. You can see here mom and baby being safely reunited outside the ambulance. The baby being looked at by LA City Fire paramedics. Yeah. And they're going to get back in their car. The thing is, that car has 2 flat tires in it. So, hopefully, they are able to call somebody to get out here and get them 2 new tires. But you have mother and baby back in their car. And a happy ending to this story. One more time, Jack. Back to base. I see, yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, copy. Everybody left? Oh, yeah. Well, they did what they needed to do. Yeah, I think she's just, I did see at least 1 or 2. At least 1 or 2, Jack. Well, it has 2 flat tires. Yes. Yes. Jack, you got a bow tug down here. Well, it looks like it could be a stringer. The mom's going to do an interview with somebody. Yeah. I don't think this is a stringer though, Jack. They have a mic flag. I can't tell what it is though. This guy on the right is RMG. I can tell you that much. What's his name? I think his name is Steve. Do you copy that, Jack? So you have a local affiliate is the guy on the left. The guy on the right is RMG. So you're gonna get sound. Hopefully RMG's sound is good. I think the guy on the left is 9. I recognize him. That's Steve from RMG, from my days as a stringer. What? Here's someone else joining the pack. So full-on press conference. We gotta let the baby hold the mic now. We've come this far. All good. Looks like KTLA and 9 are going to have their own sound, but you do have the stringer here. All right, Jack, we're getting pushed lower and lower by the clouds here. Anything else you want us to get before we start, at least get out from under the clouds here? Simon Desk on the 161. Okay. Anything else you want us to get? Okay. Okay. Sure. Sure. Yeah, we'll do it. No. Hey, he's gone. He's probably feeding back to you. Let me see if I see his car. Okay, cool. Copy. Okay. Okay, copy that. Let's do it. All right, Jack, we're getting pushed around here. We're gonna start moving out. Well, you're headed north. We got clouds, Jack. we're getting pushed down. I mean, that's where it is. Let me put a pin on a map for you. Let's see here. Okay. We got 45 minutes of fuel on board, but copy. Okay. Thank you much.